Hello folks, how's it going? Welcome back to some more hobby nightmares. If you like what I do, subscribe to the channel. We are so close to getting to 20,000 subscribers, a little bit ahead of schedule. If you can help me get there, that would be amazing, guys. Thank you so much in helping the channel grow. These are hobby nightmares, so let's jump straight in, shall we? Tim says, this story is about the last ride of the Orky pirate ship. Alright. Good evening, Mr. Exile. You may, of course, call me Tim. My hobby nightmare is from childhood and something I wanted to share with the community. Let me set the scene here. It's 1998, summer holidays in the United Kingdom, and another glorious day in the red jumper era of Games Workshop. Days spent playing, painting, and socialising in store with my friends. The store soundtrack of the time is The Prodigy, Blur, and Chumbawamba, among many more. Okay. Today was that's the most 90s thing I've ever heard. Today was the most climactic conclusion of a 4-week Gorka Morka campaign I had been involved in. For the uninitiated, Gorka Morka is a skirmish game set in a world that resembles Mad Max, following gangs of orcs fighting against other gangs of orcs in a variety of ramshackle vehicles, and all the battles in the desert have led to this, a final big race to decide who was the actual hardest bunch of boys. We were set up on a large racetrack with... Dude, that sounds so amazing. We were set up on a large racetrack which encompassed 2 of the store's tables. The scenario was simple. A race to the end of the table. First place would clinch the title of winner of the campaign. We all chose our favourite vehicle to take part, and there were to be orcs on foot controlled by others who would be free to take pot shots at the competitors, all adding to the carnage. That's a brilliant idea for a game. That is brilliant. I would love to see a 40k like spin-off of that, where you had orcs there, and you had like different vehicles, you know, things that you could upgrade and you know, get speed bonuses and ramming parts and gear changes. You know, brilliant. I'd love that. Need for Speed Orc. Get it in my veins, mate. That's amazing. Combine Need for Speed and Mad Max and Orcs and 40k and put it in a Games Workshop. I will buy the shit out of it. Honestly. I had chosen my prized vehicle, an orc war truck titled the Pirate Ship. This was a creation of mine, including rigging made from sprues and plastic card, all arrayed up on one side of the truck. This made the height of the vehicle about 12 inches or so tall. It was hilariously unwieldy and very orky. As a child, I enjoyed this type of kit bashing, and imagined this is exactly how an orc would build. Crudely, and without flair, but always very fun. Start your engines. The smell of petrol and fumes soared over the battlefield as every competitor prepared to move. Go. As you can imagine, in a game of orcs, everything is chaotic. Without deep diving the rules, essentially my vehicle attempted to boost and failed, resulting in a spin out with it crashing on its side in my first turn. Due to the huge footprint of my rigging, several other vehicles were soon involved and crashed into my own. The game lasted several hours. With over 20 races, you can imagine each turn took a while. Aside from being at Games Workshop, I had been due to attend my regular session of Army Cadets that evening. My parents had agreed to collect me at 4:30. As the time ticked by, I knew the game wouldn't be resolved by then. The issue also was my vehicle had now become a terrain piece, with my orc gang on foot causing damage, and my fastest git attempting to win the race on foot. I love orcs, man. 4:45. My mother walks into the store looking very irate. I had a flash of panic. Timothy, what is going on? You're supposed to be ready to leave. I was embarrassed as this was drawing some attention from people, but I knew she was right. However, I attempted to save face. And I quote, I can't believe you said this to her. We is being orcs, mother. We is having a proper fight. I said in my best orky voice. This had no effect other than to make her more impatient. Oh, no. I love 40k kids, man. Kids who are they're just hilarious. We need to go. You need to get home, wash, and get ready for cadets. But we is having a race here, we is, I said. My mother looked at me and then left. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I'll take a quick sip of tea here. One sec. Oh my god, it's so funny. Alright, okay. 5 minutes later, my dad appeared. Oh, I see. Your mum's gone to get the big guns. You know. Come on, Tim, we're going. Come on, where is your stuff? I tried to explain the game was still underway, but to no avail. As I picked up my orcs, I pointed out which was my vehicle. The upturned pirate ship, which with other vehicles crashed into it. I was on the other side of the table. My dad simply grabbed it up with the other vehicles, holding out like it was a barrel of monkeys. The weight was too much. The rigging shattered. Orc trucks and bikes cascaded down the table. Oh no. Some were metal and detonated with a sickening thud. Within a few seconds, the battlefield was littered with broken models. As you can imagine, race abandoned. Dude. Some parents, man. If your kid's having the time of their life in a social setting, leave them there. Alright? Army cadets can wait. This is a really good, you know, how do I put it? A really good, productive moment in their life, right? It's a foundational moment where they're learning social skills and how to play games and interact with other people. If they're doing well, leave them alone. As a teacher, it's so frustrating when parents come in and they remove kids from really good situations because they think they know better. They fucking don't. The kid knows better sometimes. They know where they should be. Do you know what I mean? Yes, you're an adult. Yes, if they're doing something that's really harmful to them, you step in, no problem. If they're in a situation like this where things are going really well and they're having fun, just fucking leave them. You know? Army cadets can wait for a bit. Leave them alone. My God. And this is a parent who doesn't get it as well. Like, you've ruined everybody's models. If I was the manager, I'd be fucking furious. I'd be pulling this guy aside and saying, mate, your kid's more than welcome. You're fucking banned, son. You're not welcome here anymore. You're a dickhead. You are a dickhead. Right? He was having so much fun when he came in here. He was doing really, really, really well, interacting with all these people. You know, learning social skills, arithmetic, all these good things that we teach him here. And you came in and ruined it for everybody. Well, good for you. You're banned. And I'm banning you in front of everybody. Yes, your son is now very embarrassed to be around you. Your son is more than welcome. More than welcome. You can fuck off. You know what I mean? Anyway. The aftermath involved me writing an apology letter to the store manager, Tony. I also offered to pay for replacement models, but I seem to remember this not being required. On a final note, I would like to say thank you for reading my nightmare. I enjoy your channel, and it has become a staple of my hobby time whilst I paint and build. I have attached an image of some of my recent work on my Blood Angels, which I'm happy to share. I have a 40k tournament coming up in May, and will of course report back if any nightmares should arise from this. Best wishes to you, Tim. Let's have a look at your Blood Angels, shall we? Why not? I pre-downloaded these last night, even though I'm on my laptop, so I didn't get caught out this time. Doop-a-doop-doo. Hey, these look cool, man. Dude, you're a good painter. Then again, you are a veteran, so, you know, I guess it comes with the territory. Wow, yeah, these look really good. They kind of look like, flesh tearers. Like, that's the red the flesh tearers have with black. Do you know what I mean? Gabriel Seth's lot. They look cool, though. I really like them. They look awesome. I'll leave them up for a while whilst I do my next hobby nightmare. Why not? Coffee Dog says, hello, great sage of the Northern Realms. Hello, Coffee Dog. How are you? Coffee Dog here again. I appreciate you reading my previous submission about the young lady who had a seizure in my friendly local game store. Your comments were very kind. Thank you very much. The nightmare I would like to relate today is of a different tenor and takes a little longer. This nightmare has been going on for some time now. I feel as though my hobbies are leaving me. Oh no. We have two nightmares like this today. One of them's a lot shorter than the other. So, you know, anyway. For a little background, I have been a nerd for as long as I can remember. In the mid-1970s, I ran around my neighbourhood in a Spock jacket with phaser, communicator, and tricorder models my father had built for me. I started with models, dinosaurs, spaceships, military models and such. Later, I would modify and repaint Star Wars and G.I. Joe action figures when they broke. At age 11, I was introduced to Dungeons and Dragons. I also read all the fantasy and sci-fi novels I could get my hands on. In 1989, while in military language school, I discovered mini painting. I started with character minis from my D&D group at the start of 2nd edition. Dude, you've been here from the start. You know? In the 60s and 70s, that was the formulating years of the hobby in all its terms, right? In 1992, a friend named Tony introduced me to Cyberpunk 2020 and Warhammer 40k. 40k brought together my love of minis with gaming in a way I really loved. This was at the start of 2nd edition. The rules were complicated and a little broken, but that didn't matter. I was having fun, and over the decades, I tried many games and purchased many others. My collection of unplayed games is extensive and includes things like Silent Death by Iron Crown Enterprises, Battlefield Gothic, and Mutant Chronicles Warzone. My love of 40k has never diminished. Yeah, that's because it's a mixture of all the games you liked. Do you know what I mean? From what I can see there. For the past few editions, I have found the cost of new codices has become burdensome. Too much of my hobby budget goes towards books that have a very short lifespan within the game. As time has passed, I find myself less interested in putting in time and effort to learn the latest rules and keep up with the continuous changes. The last games I played were 40k 8th edition and Kill Team 2018. My son was often my opponent for 6th and 7th edition. He played Black Legion and Dark Angels. Same thing, aren't they? He joined the US Marine Corps. Well, good for him. He still loves the hobby, but has less time for it. My younger son started with Battle for Vedros. This was a game I can best describe as 40k light. It was designed for a younger audience and pitted orcs against Space Marines. The models from Assault on Black Reach were most of the model line within the game rules. My younger son played Space Marines and he painted them as Crimson Fists. I picked up the orcs to play with him. He played a couple of games of Kill Team. He played AdMech and I played Adeptus Astartes. My son tried a few different factions. Unfortunately, my younger son didn't make the transition to 40k. He is now more focused on video gaming and Pokemon. Yeah, that's not a slight on you, son. I mean, I'm being honest. I'm calling you son. You're probably older than me. That's not a slight on you. Do you know what I mean? You are the victim of the modern age there in kids going to do video games rather than wanting to read loads and loads and loads of codexes. On top of my issues with 40k, my love of Star Wars novels is waning. My collection of such novels goes back to the 70s. My issue is token diversity, which that distracts from the reading. Yeah, I know that the High Republic stuff, I know. I am no stranger to reading. I have a degree in history. I read Lord of the Rings. I read Lord of the Rings when I was 11. I read Star Wars novels for entertainment. One of the most recent books in the High Republic series nearly broke my mind. The novel featured a character using they/them pronouns. There was no explanation, and this had no effect on the story. I have no objection to diversity at all. The Aftermath trilogy introduced gay characters, and it worked just fine. The problem with the they/them pronouns is a passage about the Jedi character in a flashback receiving training from Yoda. Of course, Yoda. I'm going to besmirch his name now. Yoda speaks in a unique fashion that twists common grammar rules, as you all probably know. Adding they/them pronouns to such a conversation made understanding the passage a real chore. My loving wife was very sympathetic, and after I read the paragraph to her... My loving wife was very sympathetic after I read the paragraph to her. Why does this have to be added with the subtlety of a chainsaw? 1 second, I'm going to go and boot this cat across the room. 1 second. I'm not going to do that. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do it. Listen, mate. Why are you scratching on that door? There's a door right here, open. You're a silly boy. Go on. Sorry, yeah. The larger of the two cats is, shall we say, a maniac when he wants to get out of a room. You know, he's like that guy in one of them movies with his metal tin pot ranging it against the bars of his cage. Let me out! You know, so, anyway. Okay. Where was I? Oh, okay. The nightmare? I don't want to play the 40k rules. 40k is no longer a game for casuals like me. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know about that. It could be. You just have to make it what you want. Anyway, I'll move on and I'll read the rest. I'll come back to a reply when I'm finished. In my local area, many of the 40k players have a win-at-all-costs attitude. For 8th edition, I wanted to play various models from my Blood Angels collection. My first game was Combat Patrol sized. I took a captain and 2 5-man tactical squads in Razorbacks. This felt like a light recon force to me. My opponent brought a Phoenix Lord, Dire Avengers, a Wave Serpent, and Dark Reapers. This was a very meta list. Although I got smoked, a hobby champion named Brad had some positive comments about my choice of minis. The Tactical Marines were from the RTB01, I don't know what that is, set, and the Razorbacks and Captain were from 2nd edition. That's cool. Another example of the WAAC playstyle, a kill team opponent arrived early and played 2 trial games on the kill zone before I even arrived. When we played, he rolled his dice into a box tray, but tossed them against the side closet to me and picked them up before I could see the results. I wound up playing him to a draw, as his models were bare plastic. Deathwatch. I chose to regard the game as a simulator run from my Space Wolves kill team. Dude, you are very imaginative. You have quite an active imagination. I can tell why you've been into this since you were a kid. Congrats to you. I like thematic armies. The local scene just doesn't seem fit to suit my playstyle. So to summarise, I want to play. I have a rule set I dislike, and no opponents I want to play with. Games Workshop promised streamlined play with the 10th edition. They lied. There is a light at the end of this dark hobby tunnel in which I find myself. I need to cultivate my own group to play an alternate rule set. I have watched YouTube battle reports for one-page rules and the upcoming Ravage Star game. I picked up the Veil Touched crowdfunded minis, and I've pledged on the current campaign to get the Imari Space Dwarves, and the rules for both factions. I expect the new figures to take at least a year to arrive. Once I have 2 armies painted, I'll be able to introduce other players to the game. In the meantime, I will rejoin the local game scene and slog my way through 40k games with my orcs. My goal is to have fun and scout out prospective players for Ravaged Star. Okay. I intend to find players who are more compatible with my playstyle. Sorry if this came across as a bit rambling and ranty. These thoughts have been percolating for a while now. It actually feels somewhat therapeutic to write this out. This may seem petty, but leaving 40k over 30 years is a very, very big step for me, especially given the many dollars and hours I've spent. In any case, thank you for taking the time to read this. Coffee Dog. Okay. Yeah, I think you're doing the right thing, in all honesty. Do not leave the hobby. Okay? Feel free to leave... How do I put it? Leave 40k. Don't leave the hobby. Okay? 40k... How do I put this? To me, it's a spurious thing. 40k is a spurious thing. There are better versions of 40k out there. In fact, Warhammer 40,000, in the current hobby, in my opinion, is the worst version of Warhammer 40,000 that's out there. Right? Especially for guys like me and you, who like narrative games, who like to roll some dice and have fun with friends. You know, we like to play tactically and try and win by being good generals, but also we're there to have fun. 40k isn't that for me. 40k is a recipe of, shall we say, frustration and angst for me. I don't like playing it in general. One-page rules I do. One-page rules I have a lot of fun with. People are sick of me talking about it, but I have a lot of fun with one-page rules. Whenever I go to play a game, I end up playing 2 or 3 games, because I have the energy to do so. After 3 turns of 40k, I'm done. I want to go to bed. Right? I'm just done. One-page rules, again, people seem to think it's going to be this dumbed-down version of 40k. It's not. It's just very, very, very cleverly designed. With alternating activations, which means you're always in the action. You're always doing stuff. You're always having fun. You know, the tactical nuances are really ingrained, and you get really good rewards for good play. But you're not standing there doing gotchas for 10 minutes back and forth whilst poring over loads and loads and loads of rules. You know, it's basically what 40k is supposed to be, at least for me. So you're making the right choice in going over to it. What I would do, stop slogging through 40k and use one-page rules. If you're already playing it with friends, then cultivate those friends to go and play Ravage Star with you when you want to get into that, right? That's what I would do. The internet is also your friend. If you want to play like a niche game like Ravage Star or go into OPR, one-page rules, Grimdark Future, make sure you get online and look around for games, right? I haven't gotten back to the guy yet, but even on my own Discord, I found 2 people ready to play games with me in the Northwest area, which is great. Awesome. So they are out there. You can go and find them. So that's what I would do. But you're doing basically the main thing that I would advise you to do anyway. So, Nondescript Guy says, "Hey North, please use the anonymous name at the top of this question, as other guys from my hobby group watch the channel." Okay, alright. I just wanted some advice, really, and this is a really short hobby nightmare that's not really a nightmare. I am finding I don't really have a connection with anyone, especially women, in the hobby. I am finding that I am feeling really guilty about doing my hobby and experiencing my hobby time when I really should be out there doing other things. That's really it. I cannot get out of this rut, man. I have a decent job and I am doing alright. It's just, socially, I am absolutely clueless and a bit of a wreck. What do I do here? Where do I go? What should I do? Nondescript Guy. Alright. Don't listen to 90% of the people on YouTube. That's something I've come across. I'm writing a video right now on where you should get your advice from, because a lot of you guys like listening to me, and that's fine, if a bit terrifying. But I take that as a compliment, that I must give decent advice or give down the middle advice. But there are some bad actors on YouTube that, mate, you really shouldn't listen to, right? Tate being one of them, okay? Don't listen to a fucking word that guy says. Hamza being another one. Don't listen to a fucking word that guy said. Hamza's 26, dude. If you really think, right, that little prick Shine has anything to teach you about life experience, you need therapy, okay? Alright? Getting life advice from a guy like him is like getting advice on, you know, I don't know, doing 40k by your girlfriend who's never played it before, right? She has no experience of 40k. How would she give you an experience for it? No, it's just ridiculous. So, there are definitely bad actors out there, so be very careful who you listen to online. Even with me, right? There are some things that might not be good for your situation that I tell you to do. So you even be careful with me. Aside from that, in terms of your connection problems with people, especially women, okay, it seems like women are the main issue there because you brought them up in particular. So what I would do in your situation, if you're struggling to get a connection with people, take the pressure off of it, okay? I'm going to take a second here just to take a sip of tea and have a little think about this. Alright. Realise you've got a good job. Hang on, I'm going to let my cat in 1 second. My God, they're annoying today. Go away. Sorry, I love my cats, but they're very, very, very quiet until I'm recording. And they're like, "Ah, hurt me! Ah, I need to get out this room right now. Right, okay. So it's like, oh, fuck's sake. So, what I would say is take the pressure off of meeting women. I've said it time and time and time again. The best way to go out and find women is to have something better to do than go out and find women. And also realize, if you've got a woman in front of you face to face and you're in a pub or a club or a bar, it matters not what you look like. Okay? Because you've taken that out the equation. Yes. If you're on Tinder, you're on Bumble, or any of these stupid sites where all the power's given over to the women in the group, yes, they will judge you based on your looks because they can't talk to you yet. If you're standing there and your charisma is showing, you're wearing nice clothes, people seem that they want to be around you, that you've got a good head on your shoulders, that's insanely attractive. And especially if you've got a good job too, and you're comfortable in your own skin. That is insanely attractive, and you will get women, right? That is just how it is. That's why I say the best way to get women is to have something better to do with your time than get women. That's literally rule A1. Literally A1. Okay? Other things, yeah, as I just said, groom yourself, make sure you're looking good, make sure you're smelling good, make sure you're wearing clothes that are appropriate to your size, no matter what size you are. Make sure that when you're going out with friends that they're having a good time around you when you go out, and everyone's having a laugh, and people seem that they want to be around you. It may not come along straight away, so don't be going out thinking that you're going to get laid. Go out wanting to spend time with your friends and socialise. That's what you should want to do, right? Growing a connection with people in general is more difficult than pulling women. I'm being honest, it is. Through every experience that I've had. Being a naturally introverted person is not good. It is. You can do what you want to do with it, but for me, it's not that healthy. Okay, you need to get out there and just invite people out. You know, don't be afraid of rejection. Invite people out. Say, hey man, do you want to go for a drink? Like some of my best friends have come along simply because I've gone, hey man, do you want to go for a pint? You know, ask a man out on a date. I've done that on more than one occasion. I found someone easy to talk to and pretty cool, right? And I'm not gay, you know, and I say to mate, no homo, but like, yeah, you're cool. Do you want to go out for a pint? Most people go, yeah, I like beer, right? Excellent, yeah, I like beer, you know? So just do that. Get out your comfort zone. Just ask, man. It's the best thing you can do. Especially if you're in a hobby group as well. If you're in a hobby group, because you say you are in a hobby group, go out with them. Go out with them. Go have a laugh. Go out with them. Go have some drinks after your games. You've got a specific excuse there. After your games, go out for a pint and debrief the session. What happened, you know? There are ways to get around this without tearing your hair out. Honestly. That's it though, man. That's it. Those are the things you need to do to get connections with people. You know, I've taken you to water here. You've got a drink. Do you know what I mean? But I wouldn't worry. I honestly wouldn't worry. If you've got a decent job and you've got enough money to collect Warhammer and have a good time, mate, your quid's in. You're fine. You know what I mean? You are on the way. So don't be giving yourself too much of a hard time. Life is hard enough as it is. The world is geared up against Gen Z, millennials, and pretty much anybody who. It's a rigged system. It's pretty much against anybody who wants to make their way in life right now. And so you need to give yourself some grace. I'm starting to say that as a thing in my hobby nightmares. Give yourself some grace. Okay? Life is hard enough without you having to go at yourself. This is a lesson I need to learn as well, because I do it sometimes as well. I start getting down on myself. I start, you know, rehashing memories that I'd rather not rehash, just to torture myself, and it doesn't do anything, right? It's a ridiculous thing to do when you think about it. So yeah, give yourself some grace. Take the pressure off. Touch grass, mate. That's what I would do. Touch grass. You're on the way. Don't worry about it. Anyway, Gavin says, "Hey North, I just wanted to write in about an insufferable customer by the name of James that used to come into my Games Workshop store. Now, I was not working there, but I would always go in there during the day just to do some painting when I was off of work. I really loved it there, And our manager, Alan, was a top bloke. He looked a bit like Randy. This happens all the time. He looked a bit like Randy from South Park. How many of these dudes were around back in the day? Anyway, in that he grew a mustache for November and never really shaved it off. He was a big proponent of male mental health and was always around trying to make sure that we were all on an even keel, even in our own Facebook groups. That's a good manager, man. That is a good Games Workshop manager. You keep that guy around. You keep that guy around. The nightmare person, as I said, was a customer by the name of James. He was rich. Let me just throw this on there 1 second. He was rich, pampered, and lorded it over everybody, and had a rather nice job at his father's company that paid him a hell of a lot of money for not a lot of work. By his own bragging admission. Yes, that's right. He would come into the store all of the time and start telling us how much money he was making every single month whenever the notion of being skinned came up. And as you can imagine, around a lot of blokes at Games Workshop, being skinned often came up. He would go out of his way to belittle those who could not afford Games Workshop's models. Not only this, but he did it in the worst way, by defending Games Workshop from people who criticised them both online and in real life. We actually had a term noted as James's voice, which basically meant somebody coming in and defending Games Workshop because the specific problem that the Games Workshop were causing was not affecting them and them only. Yeah, this happens with a lot of things as well. I had a mate of mine back in the day who I had a few friends who worked for Games Workshop before me, and this is one of those guys. And he would defend Games Workshop to the hilt. I mean, all the time. And all he was a relief staff member. He wasn't working for them. I had two friends who were relief staff members. One of them was Michael. Hello, Michael. He's very nice. The other one, oh my god, it was like he drank the Kool-Aid. He went in there, and every single time, he would absolutely back them up to the hilt. And this is in the bad old days, right? During 7th edition. 6th and 7th, when it was at its worst. Games Workshop were at their absolute worst at that time, right? In terms of not speaking to the community, being dicks to everybody, right? He would back them up exclusively all the time. And it was infuriating. And it was like, mate, why are you simping for them? You hardly get paid anything, and you're just a drone. You know? You're not even an employee of Games Workshop. He told me he was. I then found out when I was a manager, yeah, your relief staff members don't work for Games Workshop. They don't work for them. They don't have employee contracts with Games Workshop. They're outsourced to another company. That's where they get the money from. Ugh. It's one of those people who's like, because this problem isn't affecting me, it's not a problem. Right? It's infuriating. He dismissed those who complained about the prices as paws, quote unquote, and proles, quote unquote. He would use the term unwashed masses when regarding the rest of the customer base in store more than once. Dude, why didn't you guys just ostracize this fucking asshole? Let's get him out of there. He got away with this behaviour as he just bought so much in the store that I think he was about 40% of the store's takings every week on his own. Oh no. Oh no. This all came to a bit of a head when Alan, our store manager, came into work on a Sunday heavily hungover from a stag do the night before. Oh no. Oh no. The store was doing well at this point, and although James was still a heavy part of the store's intake week by week, it was becoming less and less of a burden. I could see Alan standing there in the store, sorting other customers out, and just rolling his eyes at James's antics all of the time. This Sunday, though, was different. He came in with bags under his eyes, a cup of black coffee, and an inner rage of needing to be in work dealing with these fucking nerds on a Sunday morning. I've done this before. Every Games Workshop manager's done this. They've gone in just like, just wanting to die. And this kid's like, can you roll this save for me? Oh, there you go, you little bastard. Go on. Yeah, it's dead. But you succeeded in your save. Yeah, but I want him to die, so he's dead. And you flick it off the table. Now, get out of my store. Get me a bacon sandwich. I joke. I never did that. I'm just saying. One thing Alan was really good for, and protective of, was kids getting into the hobby. Yeah, that's his job. He should be. That Sunday was a beginner's day, and the store was full of kids of all ages rolling dice for the first time or trying out new armies that their parents had gotten them. You could see Alan was struggling and generally forcing himself through the day, with a forced smile on his face and sweat running down his brow. When James came in, you could see the colour draining from Alan's face. He was done. This was the worst day James could pick to do his worst, and he did it anyway. James, a 24-year-old man, sat at the back of the store talking to a few mums who had come in with their kids to see what Warhammer was all about. Upon hearing that one of them wouldn't be getting the kid anything that day and that they were actually scouting for his birthday in a few weeks, James responded with something that made the mother fume visibly. She walked over to Alan and started having a serious go at him, gesticulating and all sorts before grabbing her kid and leaving the store. Alan saw red. He walked over to James and told him to pack up his shit and get out. He was banned for life. This resulted in a furious back and forth between the two that I barely heard, as I was painting at the time. In the end, James did indeed pack up all of his stuff, shouting at Alan on his way out that his store would tank without him and to go and get fucked. All of this at full volume in front of a store of mainly kids. What a little piece of work this guy is. After all was said and done, Alan apologised to everybody and threw himself into making sure everybody else had a good time for the rest of the day. At closing, I stuck around to see if he was okay, and it turns out James had said, and I quote, "Well, listen, this hobby isn't really for poor people, so any manager you see would see your situation as a big waste of time, you know? They wouldn't waste their time on you. That's just facts." Unquote. He said this to a struggling single mother who was still getting her son stuff for his birthday, but was there to get advice from the manager on what to get. Alan said it just broke something inside of him seeing the mum hurt like that, and I couldn't blame him. The nice thing is, the store did not tank in James's absence. Alan called HQ and explained the situation and redoubled his efforts to get people into the hobby. Yeah, his store took a hit, losing a good 10% of its sales from what he told me, but the atmosphere mitigated this loss with its own upturn. As far as I'm aware, Alan is still the manager of that store several years later. I moved away from the area, but I do pop in every now and again when I'm driving through. Thanks for all you do as always, North. Gav. Dude, I mean, I can just say there that is a, how do I put it, a wonderfully cathartic end to Hobby Nightmares for today. I honestly think that like, you do get them. For those of you who don't think that, you know, it's hard being a Games Workshop manager, dude, I'm getting tired just reading that nightmare. I'm like, oh no, like, you're feeling the horridness of a hangover, and then you got these people there who just sap the last of your energy, and they just come in with the attitude and the fucking... No, I don't mean to sound like I despise the customer base. I don't. I think you're all amazing people, for the most part. But you do get them. There's a reason why we have a show called Hobby Nightmares. You do get them. Oh my god. Absolutely. Tomorrow, I will be doing a video on gatekeeping. So that should be a good one. 40k rant on gatekeeping. That is the final in the series of the Female Custodies series that we're doing here on the channel. It is the last in the trilogy. And then on Friday, we will be doing some more Hobby Nightmares. So I love you all a long time. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Please be safe. Stick with me. Don't be going anywhere. If you need this show on this channel as your rock in the storm, you know what I mean? Your anchor there, hold on to it. It's never going anywhere. As long as you're here to listen, I'll be here to get you through your day, alright? I love you all very, very, very much. Stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.
da